You are now listening to FNB Radio.
And welcome to FNB Radio. My name is Lindsay Collins and I am your host. I never know how much you guys can actually hear of the room tone when I'm recording this podcast, but currently I'm sitting next to my window, and full disclosure, it's the day of, it's Friday, I'm down to the wire, and there's like a cricket that's just chirping outside of my window. And it's making me feel bad. It's making me feel like none of these jokes are going to land. It feels like a bad sign. And it feels like just crickets in general are not a good sign when you're doing a comedy podcast about food, which is what this is. So welcome to the show if you've never listened before. I promise the crickets, they're just fans. They're not actually any indication of how funny or not funny the show is. Thanks for being here. It's the end of July, and I want to right at the top of the show say something and let you guys know about an event that's coming up that I'm going to be at, and I want you to come for a million reasons, but the main one is that Jeremy Croft, my beautiful, handsome, wonderfully talented, amazing partner, and baby daddy, and soulmate, and all of those things, is showing some paintings at my favorite wine bar in North Charleston, Stems and Skins, on August 4th. So mark your calendars. It's August 4th. That is, I don't know why I can't tell what day that is. I think it's a Thursday. Hold on. Let's check this out. Let's make sure we don't put out any incorrect information. No, that's July 4th. That's Independence Day. No, it's Thursday, August 4th. That's it. Yep, that's it. It's Thursday, August 4th. It's Stems and Skins. It starts at 7:00. Come hang. Come see his paintings. It's stuff he's been working on lately. It's low key. There's going to be some wine to drink when you arrive. There's going to be obviously access to all of the amazing things at Stems and Skins. If you've never made the trek to North Charleston or been to Stems and Skins, this is a perfect excuse to do it. It's one of my favorite places to drink when I do drink, which is rare. But also, fun fact, it's the last place I ever worked in a restaurant. It marks, for now, like I always say, I'm like, I could never say never, especially when it comes to F&B, because I'm like, I don't know, I don't have any retirement. So at some point I'm probably going to be like signing back up to get into the restaurant industry with joy. It probably, if I have to do it and it's not like just for funsies, maybe there won't be so much joy. But I'm not saying I'm never going to work in the industry again proper, but I feel like I'll always do something adjacent to it, kind of like this podcast. So Stems and Skins marks the very last place that I ever worked in the restaurant industry, which only really occurred to me when we were talking about doing this show. I was like, we should do it at Stems because we live in North Charleston. Please don't DM me about my address because that's weird. But we live in North Charleston. And so I was like, it'd be cool to like show the paintings in a place that feels like it's specific to us, which is North Charleston. So I don't know. I started thinking about, I mean, Stems is the obvious choice. It's like this beautiful, low-lit, dark, amazing bar that I still stand by, has one of the finest wine lists, maybe anywhere. I know that's a bold statement because don't get me wrong, there's amazing wine lists everywhere. And wine, like anything that's popular, there's so many different trends, and you don't even have to know that much about wine anymore. You can just kind of be on Instagram and like it's in your peripheral, right? You can see the labels and you're like, oh, Susukaru? I'm a wine nerd. Oh, this natural wine? Like there's just things that you can pick up without even knowing what's good. You can just see what people are drinking and what's popular. So it's really, really easy nowadays to have like a cool wine list. Let's just say that, because there's a lot of cool wine out there. So you can just kind of follow the trends and put cool stuff on your list. But what I love about Stems is that it's very curated to Matt's taste. Matt Tunstall is the buyer for the wine there, and he's also the owner, and he's also in the bar all the time, which is super rare. Normally, once a place gets open, the owners kind of like peace out, or they're only there sometimes, or they're there during the day and you don't really see him at night. But Matt is in there pouring wine, talking to people about wines that he likes and that he chose for the menu all the time. It's a real gem of a place. And the wines don't necessarily follow any cool trends. They're usually weird, atypical versions of the wine, but that doesn't necessarily mean just natural wine. He doesn't really limit himself to that kind of box that a lot of people like find themselves in now, where it's like natty wine or fuck you, which I love natural wine. So this is not a diss. This isn't, don't worry, I'm not going to launch into one of my air fryer rants on natural wine. I'm just saying, in a world that is very, very trend based, I feel like the reason Stem's wine list stands out to me is because it is certainly just Matt's choice. It's just what Matt likes. And he's an old school guy in some ways in terms of like styles, grapes, varietals, regions that he likes. And he's a cool kid in a lot of ways. But he's sort of right on the cusp. And he pulls from old world, new world, natty, not natty. It just kind of runs the gamut. So you'll find some really, really cool, posh stuff on his list that's very expensive. And you'll find some stuff that's like weird and delicious and kind of like makes you go, And so I think that's really cool. And you'll be able to get any of those wines. They also have a full bar. So they have an amazing cocktail list. We're going to be there hanging out. The paintings will be on display. Jeremy, I talk about him kind of a lot on the show, just in terms of like, he's my partner. So he comes up a lot, but as an artist and as a person, I don't really get to showcase what he does necessarily, on the show, but he's a painter, and not just any painter. He's a self-taught painter who specializes in oils. That's his kind of preferred medium. He's so talented. Like, his paintings make me cry, and not just because he's my partner. They're just exquisite. They're really, really beautiful. He's kind of a brilliant person, and his paintings reflect that. And these are really cool. It's just a small little series. It's not anything crazy. There's 7 small paintings, and I highly encourage you to come see it. A, because it's going to be fun. B, because the paintings need to be seen in person. And C, because if you've never met him or hung out with him, he's a good time. And it would be a cool way to get to see him, get to see the paintings, meet him, hang out with me, hang out with the crew from Stems and Skins. They've been so generous to let us do the show there. Us, like I painted them. Let Jeremy do the show there. And it's on August 4th, and I really hope you come. 7:00. And the paintings will be up for a week. So even if Jeremy's not there, you can stop by anytime after August 4th for that next following week and check out the paintings yourself and buy one if they don't all sell on opening night. That's what I hope will happen, because they are cool and they're really like a good size that you could put anywhere in your home. Sometimes paintings that are giant, just, who has that kind of space or who can commit to that? But a little tiny painting, it's a no-brainer. He's amazing. The paintings are amazing. Stems and Skins, you're amazing. I can't wait. August 4th, 7 p.m. at Stems and Skins in North Charleston. Come hang. I guarantee it's going to be a good time. And even though I don't really drink as much anymore, this feels like a special occasion, and you might just see me there turning up, getting turned, as the kids say. I don't even think they say that anymore, but it doesn't matter. I'll be there, partying. And I'm trying to think of a fun snack other than the amazing full menu that you can get at Stems and Skins, but something sweet, something a little fun little bite for when you guys arrive. So I'm working on that. It's just an exciting time. It's the end of the summer. It feels like a celebration. It feels like the right time to just raise a glass to the amazing and talented Jeremy Croft. If you want to check out his stuff, he's on Instagram, and I'm going to drop his link down in the show notes. So you can look down there and click it You won't be able to see all of the new paintings, but there is one little teaser with the flyer and more info and clickable stuff if you want to like make sure that you don't miss it. But yeah, come see it. I hope to see you there. I'm going to be there. Duh. Chillin'. I might buy all the paintings. That doesn't make any sense. That's a bad business model, but it's what I want to do because I get emotionally attached to the paintings. I always want them to sell because I'm like, he's a working artist. He needs to sell them. But then when people come to buy them, I'm like, oh God, not that one. I loved that one. Yeah, that happened recently. There was one that was a pretty large one, and it was a window. You guys probably saw it. It was called White Horses. If you haven't seen it, you can see it on his Instagram. It's since sold. Actually, Beth Stelling bought it, which is very, very cool. She was one of the guests recently on the show. An hilarious, insane comedian. And she bought that painting, and I was like, it stung a little bit, you know, in the good way. I was like, I can't believe that's great. Take it back to LA with you. Just take it. Just go ahead and take it with all my dreams, all my heart. Just rip it right out of my chest. But the painting is now safely in LA in her house. So it's always emotional to see the paintings go. But yeah, I probably won't buy them all just because Jeremy won't allow it, but you should on August 4th. Okay, so that's my plug right up at the top. I could honestly, though, make this whole entire show about him because there wouldn't be an F&B radio without Jeremy. Jeremy is a true artist in that way. He has ideas, and he's just a brilliant person who's also so sweet and supportive and kind and always is keeping me just off the ledge. I'm a big personality. You know, I don't want to say manic, but I feel my feelings. Okay. When I'm up, I'm up. And when I'm down, I'm down. And Jeremy's always right there to kind of bring me back and put things into perspective. And he was one of the first people who encouraged me. He was the first person to encourage me to start F&B radio. He's a fan of the show. He listens to the show. He helps me with the show. At one point, he used to edit the show. He's just an artist through and through. He's the real deal. Not some people nowadays think that every single thing they do is art, and I'm not trying to take away from them. Maybe it is art. Who knows what art is? But when I think about Jeremy and the way his brain works, it's a very pure artist's spirit. He's a person that just has great ideas, is very unadulterated in those ideas. He doesn't necessarily base them on anything that's going on in the world. He's just kind of true to himself and true to the ideas that come to him. And it's really inspiring. And so you wouldn't even be listening to F&B radio if it weren't for Jeremy. So I think we all owe him to give him our support and come to the show. And if you're listening, which I know you are, I love you, babe. I'm excited. August 4th, we're going to let him see it. Show him the paintings. It's hard to do. If you've never put yourself out there, you might not understand how excruciating it is. Or if you've never put yourself out there, you probably do understand how excruciating it is because that's why you've never put yourself out there. But if you're a person that has put yourself out there, it's hard. It's really hard to do anything at all and to stand by it and be like, I did this. And I'm proud of it. And I want you to look at it and see what you think. And I hope you like it too, because it just hurts to put your art out there or to try something and it doesn't work. And I'm not saying anything about anything other than you have to respect the people and the amazing artists in this community. And I have to say, since I moved back to Charleston in 2016, from 2016 to now, I guess 2015 to now, the art scene has come up so much. There's so many amazing people doing stuff, not just in visual art mediums, but in every way. And I think that Charleston just gets cooler and cooler, and it's such a supportive, beautiful place that shows up for each other. And I just think that's a really cool thing to do. So Charleston does make it easier to put yourself out there. But it's still very, very scary. And it takes a lot of guts to do anything at all. So I have so much respect for him, so much respect for his art. And I hope that you come to the show on August 4th, Thursday night. It's coming up. It's literally in 5 days. I just hope I'm still alive in 5 days because every day it's so hot. And we stopped having those awesome thunderstorms. So now it's just, I think by the time it reaches 8 o'clock at night, I'm like trying to read my kids a bedtime story. And I'm just full sweating. Like I looked around and every person in the house was just down to their underwear and the air conditioner's just churning away, like desperately trying to keep up. So fucking hot. If you know anything about me, you know I hate to be hot inside. I can accept the outside heat, but when I come inside, I want I want it to be like a meat locker. I was fantasizing about in restaurants in the past that I've worked at, there's these giant wine rooms that are controlled like just too cold. Like it's not freezing, like it's not noticeably cold. It's the kind of cold that when you walk in, you're just like, ooh, this is nice. But if you stay in there too long, you slowly get chilled to the bone. Like a walk-in wine room in a fancy pants restaurant, that's how I like my house to feel. It's not sustainable, especially not here. Like I often am like, sometimes I have panic attacks late at night because I'm like, we're all running our air conditioners and that's why the climate's going to die. Is that how you say that? The climate's going to die? But even so, I press on and I my dream is to just live in a wine cooler. So I don't appreciate the recent heat wave that we're having. It's making it hard to cook. It's making me cranky in the evenings. It's causing me a lot of duress. Honestly, it's making it hard for me. It's why I couldn't do the show last night. I was like all ready to go. I had the stuff ready to go. I'm like, it's Thursday night, baby. Let's do it. And then I sat down and I was like, fuck this. I'm so angry. I'm just going to accidentally go on another rant about air fryers. And then they don't deserve that. Not just air fryers don't deserve that, but you guys don't deserve that. It also causes problems for my ice machine when it's hot. My ice machine can't keep up. And I'm ice obsessed. What is it about that? Why do I like everything so cold? I've never really asked that question. I know that I do like things cold, but I've never really asked that question. I don't know, but I love ice. I love cold rooms. I love air conditioning. I love to be nice and freezy, like a popsicle, like a little tiny pop. But I hope you're staying cool wherever you are. I hope you're beating the heat. I've got some exciting guests coming up. I do this all the time where I'm like, should I talk about who they are? I don't know if I should talk about who they are. We can tease it out like this. And then if they don't come on the show, I'll just pretend I was talking about someone different. But they pretty much said they were coming on the show. So this person, let's play a little game. They work in restaurants. They have a very, very popular meme account that's focused on restaurants that makes me laugh out loud on the daily. I consider them to be the Jermaine Dupri of restaurant memes in that they write the memes that the whole world reads. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys know this reference? Is this hip hop too old for you? Are you too old for hip hop? I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how old the people listening are. This is a real problem for me because I just have no idea. It's like you guys are a faceless audience that in my mind, I imagine who I think you are. And the ones that do speak up, I'm like, I know who you are. That's cool. But then there's a lot of like thousands more of you that I don't know who you are. And I have no idea how old you are. So maybe we're all around the same age. Maybe we're all not. Sometimes I think I'm really hitting it home with the 50 up crowd. And that's cool. Maybe they will know the Jermaine Dupri reference. But anyway, I've got this very, very exciting guest coming on. They're extremely funny. I think we have a lot in common in that we love restaurants, but also like to make fun of restaurants and also have a background in these kind of ridiculously fancy restaurants. And so we're sort of tortured in the same way. And that makes for good radio. But yeah, I hope they're going to come on. I'm trying to get them scheduled. And then I'll let you know when that happens. But there's a bunch of fun guests coming up. So definitely hang in there. Stay tuned, as they say. Yeah, what else has been going on? I'm feeling overwhelmed by the presence of the bear in the restaurant world, the hive mind. The show on FX, The Bear, I mentioned it before. It's had kind of an interesting effect on people in the industry, not just the triggering parts. Like people, that's the media keeps talking about how triggering it is, and it is in a way triggering. But what I've noticed in my own circles is it's sort of exhuming these relationships back from the dead. Not the dead, but maybe from moratorium or something. Like the people that I worked with in restaurants in the past in New York and California and in Copenhagen and all over, where we sort of shared that culture that's sort of touched on in The Bear. I think back to those people that I worked with and I think about where they are now. And a lot of them still are in restaurants, but some of them aren't. Some of them have moved on to different careers. Some of them have left the industry altogether or doing something adjacent to the industry, like consulting or whatever it might be, but they're not working in that sort of Michelin star environment anymore. And it's weird to see how they all kind of got scattered, how we all got scattered into different places in our lives. But since The Bear came out, and I think that sort of culture has been brought back into focus or brought into focus for the first time, especially in mainstream, like to the civilians of the world. There's been a lot of even small or subtle, even if it's just a DM or like someone showing back up or thinking about someone, even if you don't actually talk to them, like a lot of things have been coming up for me. A lot of like parts nostalgia, but also parts things that I kind of locked away, you know? So it's like, I guess, yeah, that's why they say triggering, but I kind of hate that word because it's overused and it just kind of means nothing now. But it brings up stuff and takes me back to a place that I haven't really thought about. I'm a person that likes to move forward, that likes to live in the now. I don't like to walk around in my past very much. And so it's been interesting how part of it, of watching the show, made me feel proud. It made me feel proud that I had like had those experiences and met those people and seen that environment function on that level for so long and in so many different places and met so many incredible, talented people that are still shaping the industry now, and to see how that kind of web just keeps going out into the world and into restaurants as we know it. So it makes me feel proud, like a weird sense of pride that I think I had kind of been like, fuck that place. I just left when I left the restaurant industry on that level, when I left Michelin starred restaurants, it was because I had a surprise pregnancy with Julian. It's been the best thing that ever happened to me. But he was very much a surprise. And so I had to leave the restaurant industry at that level and move back home to South Carolina. And it was a really hard time because I was 25 and I would kind of just like at the pinnacle of like, I had just gotten to where I wanted to get. I was working in the back of house in Michelin star restaurants out in Napa. And I was just kind of like Icarus. Like I was like, nothing can touch me. I'm like, I finally found my thing and I know where I'm going. And I'm at the pinnacle of my career and it's going to just be to the moon from here. And then when I realized I was pregnant and I couldn't keep working there and couldn't stay out in California, I needed my family for support. And, 25 like seems like you're an adult, but at that time I was just really kind of a mess of a person too. So there's a lot of themes that get touched on in The Bear, in that world, down to the fact that they wear blue aprons, like just the visuals alone brought up a lot of stuff for me and a lot of like, yeah, it's, I don't have the right word for it because it's not nostalgia, because nostalgia is kind of like happy, sad, memory type shit. Like, oh, nostalgia. Like, look, I'm looking at a picture book of my grandmother when they were a baby, or my childhood, and like feeling all like, oh, I can't believe I was ever that little. I remember that toy, that kind of shit. It's not that feeling exactly. It's sort of more upsetting than that. It's kind of like, what could have happened, or what would have happened, or where would I be? And so I think it's doing that not just to me, but to a lot of people who, like I said, have since left the restaurant industry, or have like the band kind of broke up. Like the people that I worked with in those environments, you work with someone in a pressure cooker like that, they kind of become this sort of irremovable part of your life, even if you don't keep talking to them, or even if you don't talk to them daily. Like I still keep in touch with them in a way. And some of them more than others. Some of them I talk to all the time. Robert Pratt is one of them that still remains a close friend. There's a lot of those people that I talk to really, really regularly. Daisy and Greg, I just went out and saw them. Shout out to them. They actually have one of Jeremy's paintings from the Pants series, which you can see in his Instagram, hanging in their restaurant in Los Alamos. So if you ever go to Bar La Côte, it's his painting that's hanging there in the restaurant. So we're still connected, even though we don't spend 18 hours a day together anymore. But that show has kind of like strengthened that bond, or kind of like revved up the bond that has been there, that's been kind of lying dormant. So that show, every time people talk about it, or they talk about how horny they are for Jeremy White, which I get it. You know what? They cast that dude so fucking perfectly. It's amazing. He is so hot. And he perfectly encapsulates the way that the sick and twisted way that people feel about chefs. And I think it's funny now that everyone's just kind of the mainstream people are just kind of coming online to that and figuring out like the sort of sexual tension that exists in restaurants. And that kind of led me to think about, even on a deeper level, like everything that happened with the Me Too movement and exposing the toxic environments in restaurants, and at the same time, like seeing it now like weirdly celebrated or sexualized again, is strange. It's strange to see people being like, I'm horny, and yes, chef. I saw a New York, the New Yorker cartoon where it's a man and a woman lying in bed, and the woman's like, looks like she just had the best orgasm of her life, and the husband's like, so what was all that yes, chef stuff about? And so that perfectly, I mean, like that right there to me, like, God, it's so funny. It's so well done. It's finally only now, the intensity sexually, creatively, energetically, on a crazy level that exists in these restaurants. And just that frenetic energy, and how everybody's kind of just bouncing off each other. And a lot of these people are very troubled. And a lot of these people maybe aren't even troubled, but they're just working themselves to death. So they're insane. And it's not to make excuses for anyone's bad behavior. People like Mario Batali, like, Jesus Christ, like, no. But even him, like at one point, don't you think he probably wasn't a psycho monster? And this industry sort of like forces people into it. But it makes you, I don't know. It's mixed me up in a lot of ways, because it makes me think fondly about the past, which is something I haven't done for a while. I think in the Me Too era of everything getting exposed, I started to really, 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 really resent the industry and the stuff that happens there, and like kind of being like seeing everything through abuse colored glasses and absorbing all of that, because there is a lot of that. And then there's also these really cool, beautiful parts with people doing amazing things at an incredible level, especially when you talk about the Michelin star level. And these environments are so, the stakes are so high. And I'm not saying it's right or it's wrong. I'm just saying that's why people won't quit talking about the bear, because I think it has fired up a lot of these similar feelings that I'm poorly describing right now. In a lot of people, even ones that aren't working in restaurants anymore. So I've noticed just like the network of those people suddenly, like, even if it's just a small, like, reaching out a hand to be like, hey, thought about you the other day. Hey, hope you're well. You know, people that I haven't seen in 10 years, I haven't talked to in 10 years or whatever it is. And I think it's like kind of connecting us all in that way. And it's sort of changed my mind a little bit. It hasn't changed my mind because the abuse and the badness and the terrible environment that exists in some places and the toxicity, it just hasn't made me only focus on that. It's made me focus on some of the good parts too, which I haven't done in a really long time. There was kind of this fallout when the restaurant industry sort of came under fire, and I just had all these only negative feelings about it for a long time. Just kind of like, ugh, the fuck was that? And now I feel like I've added a little balance to the scales. Like I still definitely see and recognize the toxicity and the abuse that I endured and I watched other people endure and how that shapes you. But it also makes me remember the beautiful parts and the cool things that happen and the amazing talent of the people that are literally sacrificing their entire life, their well-being, their everything, to come together as a team and make something that's just truly larger than life. So it's a weird, I've been having weird feelings about the industry lately. It's weird to watch other people just start to kind of barely get a peek behind the curtain, and they love it. And it reminds me why I loved it. And I think that's the most concise way that I can say it. Because for a while I was kind of brainwashed the other way into only focusing on the shitty parts and the bad things that happen to people. Yeah, it's a lot. I don't know how we got there, but that's what's on my mind. The show's now at 32 minutes. It's longer than I meant to sit here. I'm over caffeinated. I apologize for rambling about my inner feelings, but I've been hung up lately. And I'm sure if you're out there listening and you used to work in any of those places, or if you work in the industry at all, you maybe feel something similar. I don't know. I would honestly be interested to hear how it's affecting you, or if it's affecting you, or if it's just me and they're just like reading my personal diary and it's fucking me up in ways that it's not fucking you up. Either way, I think it's worth a view. I think it doesn't get everything right, but I think that if you haven't watched The Bear and someone you love is in the industry, especially at that level, I think it's a lazy way to try to get some empathy for the people in the service industry, because right now, who knows what is happening with the economy? People are scared. Industry is suffering. There's so much hardship and people are trying to figure it out. And I just think if you haven't worked in the restaurant industry, you need to watch The Bear just so that you have a little more empathy for people in this business, because it's the least you can do. I used to say everyone should have to work in the industry for a year just to like get some perspective and not treat people like shit that are doing things for you and working their asses off. But now I'm like, if you can't even do that, or if that's too hard or you're not into that, the least you can do is to maybe watch The Bear and think about that the next time you tell someone their food is overpriced, or that took too long, or that they forgot your, side, or whatever it is. Just give yourself a little perspective and be gentle with the people who are in the industry right now, because a lot of them have been giving their all for a really long time. And even people like me who are not in it anymore, we're still dealing with the repercussions emotionally, clearly, from being in it, good and bad. I'm not a hater. I'm so proud of that industry and working in that industry and the people that I know. I think they're some of the best people in the world. And nothing, no show or no experience could ever change my mind about that. But it's interesting how this show has kind of like, I don't know, it's like Captain Planet. Like all of a sudden everybody's been rallied, or the bat signal. Like everybody's just like people are, it's reawakening something in people that I haven't spoken to in a really long time from those days. But anyway, thank you for listening. As always, please come hang August 4th. I'm just going to say it again because I have to, because I love him so much and I'm so proud of him. And it's going to be a really fun show. And I can't wait for you to see the paintings. I wish I could tell you about the paintings more, but you got to see it to believe it. And you got to be there. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you soon. Wait, I never say that. Why did I say that? I'm all mixed up. I'm all mixed up. I'm losing my grip here. That's not the ending to the show. Bye. Bye, 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 bye. That's the ending to the show. Bye. I love you. Bye.
Paraît que les ciels sont plus beaux. Un vol direct ou avec escale pour passer de nuit à Oslo. On enverrait des cartes postales. Je laisserai un mot sur le frigo. Déciderait de se faire la malle. Ta famille, les amis